we all know that the coach in any sport is always the first one to get the criticism. He's the first one to go, whether it's fair or not. I'm certainly not advocating for that to happen here. I think that part of it is the roster, John, but the other part of it is, I mean, this team went to the Eastern Conference Finals last year. They're not they're not much different roster wise than they were last year.
There's no Ennis.
Yeah, well, I mean, they lost Hayward, obviously, so that is one big difference there.
He barely played, and he missed half the playoffs.
I know, but that's the thing is he's been so off and on throughout his Celtics career. I don't even know how much of that you can put on this year's issues. But Nick mentioned the fact that Marcus Smart's been out for this uninspiring stretch here. Maybe that has something to do with their play. But it is what I do put on Brad is he's supposed to set the tone for the guys. He's supposed to make them want to get up and play hard. And make them play hard for each other, make them play hard for the coach, make them play hard for the fans if you want to go there, although there's no fans right now. But these guys are playing uninspiring basketball. And as Jaylen Brown said last year, that starts at the top. So they can look at themselves, they can look at the coaching staff, but it's on the stars and it's on Brad to get these players playing the way they're supposed to be. Listen, the roster has its issues for the reasons John mentioned. They're playing with a lot of guys that have no business starting or no business playing, 20-plus minutes a game. They've got some young players that haven't proven themselves at all. Some of them haven't even gotten on the damn court. Romeo, Neesmith, guys like that who are contributing zero. Rob can barely get time, and he didn't even look that good today either. It spurts, but whatever.
Jayson.
So there's honestly a million ways you can go with it, but I think Brad certainly deserves some of the blame. Just like we want to do blame pie. You want to play blame pie?
We always can.
I mean, look, play something.
The whole point is this. You're right, Jimmy. It's everybody's job. Like if Tatum and Brown are surrounded by people who aren't as good as them, it's their job to elevate them. If Brad has a roster that's a little mismanaged, it's his job to make the most of it. It's a little poorly constructed. And then Danny has to friggin' go out and get these guys help or they're gonna die. You're gonna burn them out. Like right now, I don't know whether it's tired, burnout, or just simply like are Tatum and Brown starting to get deflated, looking around and saying like, am I going 110% for these losers right now? Like, it is demoralizing. It's demoralizing.
I don't think that's it. I don't think that's
what I think happened today.
Really, that stuff happens. I think that's very natural. I don't think that's. I don't think that's. Josue, go ahead.
No, absolutely, it's natural, Jimmy. I mean, listen, Jayson Tatum. These guys have been playing. Well, him and Jaylen, excuse me, have been playing a whole lot of minutes, over 40 minutes. These 3 games and what was it, 3 games in 5 days or 4 days back to back home. Yeah, you're at home, but still this back to back coming off of a 5-game road trip, and not to forget or not to mention the fact that Jayson Tatum, was out with COVID not too long ago. I think there's some truth to that. Jayson Tatum.
Though? I'm saying they're not purposely playing like shit because they're sick of their
roster.
Yeah.
I just think
get rid of them.
No, I don't think it's
not purposely, but I disagree that they're putting together a shit effort because they're sick of their teammates. I don't think that's it. I think what Josue's saying is that they're just worn down, which is very possible.
I don't think they're saying. I don't think it's a James Harden situation where you look around and say, "F this, I'm mailing it in." I think it's a you don't realize you're doing it, but you're doing it situation because
especially against teams like the Wizards, right?
Yeah, and you're like, man, because now they're stuck. They don't know what to do anymore. Like, am I supposed to take every shot here? Do I work? Do I get them involved? What am I supposed to do with these guys? I don't know if they know what to do.
Especially,
we could all say all. We could we could say all that. Yeah, I agree. But when you don't have, you don't show up, you don't have energy, and you don't give effort. To me, that has to come from the top. That has to come from a mentality in your locker room, a culture around you. And I've seen it way too much over the last 3 years, let alone this year. And I don't know what you do, to be honest, but I know you don't trash Danny Ainge. Danny Ainge has put together great rosters for this guy, and it seems to always amount to much of drama. And now, is it possible that Tatum and Brown are getting to superstar level where that's Brad's cutoff point? Where he can't coach them anymore because their personalities are getting in the way, or I don't know. But I do know Brad Stevens, if you're going to keep him, you need a strong player coach. It's not Evan Turner. It's not Walter McCarty, clearly. You need a strong player coach that can relate to the players, that can look at them and say, I've been where you are. And they don't have it right now.
I put this comment up here from Hans, who's a regular and one of my favorite commenters here.
That's a great one.
But this always drives me freaking nuts. It drives me about as crazy as like a relief pitcher saying, I need to know what my role is. Am I an 8th inning guy? Am I a 9th inning guy? Just friggin' go out there and pitch. Same exact thing. Like, you're a professional athlete at the highest level. You need a
22-year-old.
This is where you're saying it, Nick. Like, you need a guy who's been there before to get somebody to go out there and play hard. Did Tatum and Brown initially, as soon as their points per game clicked up over 25, all of a sudden be like, I'm a superstar now. I need a superstar coach. I need to be handled differently.
I don't know.
Like, what happens? Is that a gear that flips and all of a sudden, like, you start acting and behaving differently? This guy that got you to this level isn't good enough anymore. It's such a cop-out.
I'm not disagreeing with you, but aren't we out of excuses? I mean, they suck. I'm sorry. If you have Josue, if you have 3 stars, like the Washington Wizards who just destroyed us, the Celtics, they would kill for Kemba.
You said us. That's a demerit.
I know, right? I've caught y'all doing it, by the way.
That's messed up, John. Are you gonna call him out on that? You called him out on that.
I've caught y'all doing it, and
Next
let me tell you.
Okay.
Whoa.
Never have. Trying to say that we do it.
That's it. 30 seconds in the penalty box for Nick for saying we.
All right, I'll get into my point then. In the meantime.
Okay. You go.
In the meantime, I'll get to my point. No, you know what? That's a good point from
And yes, we all do it.
Because listen, Jayson Tatum, you can't have it both ways, right? Before the narrative was, oh yeah, he's doing all this and he's getting all this experience and deep runs to the playoffs at such a young age. He's not like most younger players, most younger superstars, right? He's got some playoff experience underneath his belt, correct, right? And then when something like this happens, he's
just crapped on for my hat.
He's got all this experience, but he needs a coach to really bring him to the next level. Well, wait a minute. Is he the one that's so experienced that he's already a top 10 player in the NBA before the age of 25? Or is he the one that's, he's really talented, but he needs a little more guidance because he's not quite there yet, even though he's been to the Eastern Conference Finals 3 times out of the last 4 years. You get what I'm saying?
For the people in
the chat, you can have it both ways.
Yeah. For the people in chat saying you need Greg Popovich, there's one Greg Popovich, and there's only been one Greg Popovich for the last 30 years in the NBA. Enough. Right. One of him. There's one Bill Belichick.
My point is that it's not Brad's job to do that. Tatum should do it on his own.
Agree, Josue.
That doesn't fall on Brad.
Yes.
No,
agree.
I don't know. It doesn't fall on Brad. I'm talking for a second. It doesn't fall on Brad, but I think it starts with Brad. It doesn't fall on Brad, but I think it kind of starts with your coach. I mean, why have a coach then? Well, I mean, just have anybody, I guess. The coaching doesn't matter, apparently. I think you are a product of your environment. So when they are out there playing like dog shit today and uninspiring basketball, that tells me that there is some sort of disconnect in the locker room, whether it's from coach to player or player to player or front office to players. Maybe there's trade rumors that are bothering these guys. I don't know what it is, but like I said, product of your environment. So if you're playing this way, something is wrong.
Yeah,
I'm not saying it's Brad's fault or it's Brad's job to fire these guys up. I mean, they're all adults. They're all NBA players making a lot of money, and they're obviously very talented. They don't need Brad to be a cheerleader, but there's got to be some sort of play for me, play for each other thing going on here.
I agree with that.
Like I said, this is again, what are you bringing in? What's the next guy?
There's none.
Like, what's the alternative? Like,
what's the alternative?
That say, they need a new coach. They need a new big man. Give me options. What do you have in mind here? Who is this savior of a big man, and who's the coach that's going to come and save the day?
That's the thing, Josue. Our problem, and Nick, I'm sorry, I'll jump in right after. Our problem is that as media, as critics, as fans, whatever the hell it is, we see something and we say, fix it. It's like looking at your friggin' Nissan Sentra and saying, go 100 miles an hour. Like, it doesn't go 100. Like, I can barely get it to 65 on the highway. Like, it's a piece of junk. I can't do it. It's like looking at somebody and say, be taller. You can't just be taller. Like there are certain things here this team can't do. It just isn't. And there's just certain things that are beyond the control of the head coach. But immediately when we don't have answers, the easy thing to do is say it's the coach's fault. He's got to get him up for it. Like there's just such a thing as just bad. And right now they're bad. And again, I'm not making excuses. I'm just simply saying a team this thin, without Smart, missing starters on and off, and still, like I said, banged up. They need everything. They have no, it's not an excuse. I just think they have no margin for error. So any little thing that goes off for this team sets them sideways because they have really, really poor depth right now.
They're not a Nissan Sentra.
Or we had a producer today, because I'd love to see both last year's roster and this year's roster side to side, because besides Ennis and Hayward, I can't find much difference. Is there a ton of difference? So what's different? The mentality. Who starts the mentality? It's the coaching staff. Now, someone in the chat room said something that is not a new take, but it made me think of something. Okay, so this past week, Josue and Max's show, they had on Jared Sullinger. I'm not saying bring Sully back, although he does look great and he does rebound.
Sully looks good. Sully looks better than Grant.
He looks better than a lot of them, and he grabs rebounds. But the point here is one thing Sully said that made a lot of sense. When Max kind of asked him, where did it go wrong for you? And he flat out said, when Kevin Garnett left, so did I. Basically, he checked out as KG checked out, because that fire was contagious. And I think the Celtics are lacking that type personality. Can you bring KG? The other guy is such a boomer, John. And I'm younger than him by like 5 years, just so we're all on the same page.
Look how Nick reads out loud.
And I am younger than John. So anyway, but what I was saying was, you bring somebody like a KG around the team, a big man coach, maybe that's gonna make a difference. Because
I've been saying that.
Yeah, I mean, they need a player's coach, and don't give me that bullshit, John. Because even the best of teams needed player coaches. I mean, it's just when you're on the grind on an 82 game, and these guys are playing, 80 schedule.
I'm saying there are good player coaches. There are bad player coaches. There are good non-player coaches. There are bad non-player coaches. I'm not just basically saying this type of player, this type of coach fixes it. That's all.
No, right.
And you also can
no
bring
one
in
here.
No
one here is saying that fire Brad. I never said that. I'm not saying that. I don't think anybody is, because there is no alternative.
I thought you were one bad loss from saying that. My bad.
No, I would never say it. I just want the media to keep them honest. That's the thing. I mean, the Celtics media, and you can play this on Twitter. I don't care. And I could imitate the press conference right now.
No, we don't need you to do that. We don't need
3 minutes into the first quarter, what was the PNR and the ATO from the Excel spreadsheet of and Brad looks at them like this. Like, no, ask him what's wrong with the fucking team.
Whoa.
That's it. That's 30 seconds right there. Gone.
Out of here.
He's out.
He's off
you got a point.
That's a minute. This is a 2-minute penalty. We're gonna have 5 minutes and a misconduct next time.